Alan Walker, host of the Twin Cities Creation Science Association podcast. I'm on the board of Twin Cities Creation Science Association, and I want to thank Dr. Ross Olson for setting up this podcast, and also for Ryan Pickett for editing, posting on YouTube and Rumble. Our guest tonight is Dr. Glen Collins. He has a bachelor's and a master's in electrical engineering from Georgia Tech and a PhD in artificial intelligence from Vanderbilt University. Also a certificate in acoustical engineering, and is a registered professional engineer in the United States and a chartered engineer in Ireland. Dr. Collins used to work in the satellite communications industry and is now retired. Recently, in fact, just a week ago, Dr. Collins presented on the subject of artificial intelligence and still more real ignorance to the Twin Cities Creation Science Association. That was July 18th. He updated us on what is artificial intelligence in the news, where is AI going, and in primary uses in AI in the everyday world. That presentation is already up on our TCCSA YouTube and Rumble, so you can go there and watch the whole presentation. In the world today, we may soon see a movie or a TV show written entirely by artificial intelligence. Today, artificial intelligence is used in all areas like transportation, financial services, agriculture, education, data security, social media, marketing, telecommunication, healthcare, etc. I'm going to ask Dr. Collins some questions, and he will give us the background on the answers. Why, Dr. Collins, is artificial intelligence so fascinating to so many people?
Well, thanks for the invitation, Alan, and that's a really good question. Mankind has been fascinated by automated machines, frankly, since the times of the Egyptians and the Sumerian empires. Man has dreamed of and written about intelligent machines that could fight an enemy, perform surveillance, or be artificial servants, among other things. You can Google that and find all kind of interesting information on history in that regard. But increasingly each year, AI-enabled machines or apps are more and more visible and accessible. So as of today, machine language applications such as chatbots are actually useful, impressive, and heavily advertised. So I would say there are two aspects to AI's current fascination for people. One has to do with the promotion, amplification, and to some degree exaggeration by developers and proponents as to the great things AI will do. You know, kind of it'll bring a utopian society. There's that aside. And then there are often exaggerated warnings by influencers and some developers that it's going to bring about the end of mankind, and a negative viewpoint. So on the promotion side, there's extensive media coverage and promotion of AI-enabled everything. And people are heavily influenced by news coverage, by advertising, movie and television messaging. And these things have been heavily favoring AI and promoting both the utopian promises and the doomsday scenarios. And so these capture people's attention. These ideas, and especially these extremes of it's going to bring about a world where we don't have to work and robots will do everything, versus the doomsday scenario and it'll take over the world and end mankind as we know it. These things fascinate people. And when it's a highly technical or scientific topic about which people know very little, their sense of curiosity and fascination is piqued, and they want to know more. Is it true? Can AI really do all this or that? So that's why it's fascinating to a wide range of people.
It sure is, and it's on the news all the time. My next question is, do computers really learn? What is actually happening there?
Well, first, let's have a definition of terms, particularly the word learning. What is learning? In the case of machines, it's artificial learning, or shall we say the appearance of learning, a form of learning that produces very similar outputs or results to human learning. So machine learning really only distantly resembles human learning. When humans learn, new information's interconnected or integrated with previous information, creating a traceable cause and effect audit trail in people's minds that can be followed using logic. You can explain now the information, why you know it, and what authority it came from, and what its proper context is, and contrast it with other contexts. But computers, especially the neural network deep learning machines, do nothing of this sort. Information's coded in a vector form, such as a sequence of interrelated symbols. They're given weights and strengths of connections and relationship numbers and so forth, in creating a correlation and probability type of a representation. So there's no learning in the sense of a concept of authority. There's no audit trail you can follow to see how the machine came up with a sequence of words that it put together. So no, computers don't learn, certainly not as human learning is understood, but computers do perform language correlation and probabilistic matching, creating a network to give the illusion of learning. And since they can produce very similar output and results to humans, it appears to have learned. And some people say, well, it's the same result, so it's learning, but it's nothing like human learning, and it's using a method or a technique that's very different from the way humans learn.
Thank you. Next question. What can artificial intelligence do, and what can it not do?
Well, that's a big question.
Yes.
I'm going to truncate the answer a little bit, but certainly AI techniques can use language, images, video, other expression methods to appear intelligent and mimic human expression. As one writer put it, we cannot inoculate ourselves against the appearance of intelligence. When a machine creates human-like words, paintings, images, music, and that type of thing. But the machine cannot think or reason, and all attempts to claim that it does so come by altering or playing games with the definition of the words thinking or reasoning. The operative word with computer-based intelligence is indeed the word artificial. It's not real intelligence. It's the appearance of intelligence, particularly if it's based on neural network techniques. Currently, machines cannot really learn on their own. They have to be trained. They have to be told what's right and wrong. They require a great deal of feedback. And what's made these recent chatbots so successful has been human feedback to create what's called reinforced learning. They can't put information in a context. They're very bad at detecting their own mistakes. They can't integrate information using logic or authority, or one piece of information more reliable than another, unless it's just expressly coded and told that. So everything that the machines do boils down to numbers, vectors, algorithms, and probabilities and correlations. It's not a human brain, and it's not even close. Orders of magnitude away from what we, as the human mind, can do. But keep in mind that a great many people, particularly if someone has a materialistic or a scientism view of the world, they see the world as solely material, and they deny the concept of soul or spirit, which is what makes us human. What is living in their belief system is merely mechanistically working in a particular way, a chemical process and so forth, and they see all of that as reproducible by us in the form of a machine. So every gain and improvement that's made with computers mimicking human capabilities are welcomed as proof of this belief system, unaware of really how far off the mark they are. So AI can do a lot of things that looks very human, but it's certainly not accomplishing it in the way that humans would, and it breaks. In fact, when the chatbots break and give nonsensical answers, they call that an hallucination. And I find that that's actually the technical computer science term for those kind of mistakes. So it kind of tells you where we are.
Well, you mentioned the human brain. So how does the human brain compare to artificial intelligence?
Even though computing and AI are continually improving, AI computing is not even close yet for multiple reasons. One is related to information processing, storage, and connectivity. So think of it as the computer side of things. Even though computers can be as fast or faster at the human mind at processing, for around, 1 exaflop in terms of numerical type of processing. The kind of processing the human mind does, actual thinking, reasoning, parallel problem solving, far outstrips the computational abilities of computers by orders of magnitude. A Stanford study estimated the human brain has 200 billion neurons, 1,000 connections per neuron, and a storage capacity around 1 petabyte. That's 10 to the 15th bytes. Inside a small volume that requires 23 watts to operate. That's what your brain takes. Current AI machines that, like the chatbot by OpenAI or Google's Bard or that type of thing, they're using machines that take up massive warehouses of space and use many megawatts. Secondly, computers are not structured or connected like actual brains. Many parallels are drawn, and they'll use words like inspired by the human mind. Neural networks, for example, is what these types of systems are called, but they're vastly different from the human mind. Machines can handle large-scale data and they process numbers and so forth, but they can't handle figurative language, analyze sentiment, perform situation-based processing, recognize contexts. The car driving algorithms can't tell the difference between a flock of birds going across the road and blowing leaves going across the road, whereas these things are easy to human beings. So even though problems are being solved as they're encountered, as soon as they solve one problem, there's another problem right behind it that reveals the complexity of the human mind that we still don't really know and hasn't been fathomed. So we're still not very close.
Our Creator God was amazing in developing humans and our minds. Does science fiction influence public perception of artificial intelligence?
Well, it certainly can. Advertising and marketing, news and other media are based on the fact that what they do does indeed influence people's thinking. These effects have been thoroughly researched in an area that's called entertainment education effects. You can go look that up. You can find all kinds of journals and articles on it. As to the influence of entertainment media on people's perceptions of AI, researchers have found a significant relationship with people's beliefs about AI based upon what kind of entertainment they've watched. The more entertainment or movies about AI that they've seen, then the more influence there appears to be. And this is research, it's not an opinion type of thing. Science fiction in particular makes certain human-like abilities seem normal for machines or robots to perform. And research in this area indicates that some portion of the public confuse what's real or near term with what's fiction. The realism of sci-fi and movies and television builds the impression as to how natural or easy this all should be. And it doesn't really reveal the roadblocks or the big problems, much less making those things understandable to people. So an article in the Journal of Communications noted that the entertainment media can be effective in changing our beliefs and our behaviors. And this has been shown in research over and over. So, but here's the thing, the more fictional the characters, like Alita, Battle Angel, as an example of a movie, it's clear that's a fictional character. Whereas in iRobot, where the robots behave much more human-like, the people can tell the difference. And the more fictional the character, the more people are able to separate reality from fiction But when the portrayals are more realistic, the public's ability to determine reality is reduced. So there's a big influence for sure.
All right, what are some dangers to the public?
I'm sad to say there are many, unfortunately. Scams, frauds, and spam, to name a few. Recently, both NPR and CNN and other news outlets have noted a rise in telephone and online fraud using voice imitation, impersonation scams. This is based on an AI technique called deep fakes or voice spoofing. And the scam calls use AI to mimic the voice of people you might know. It may sound like your grandmother calling you or your children calling you, that type of thing, because it just takes a small amount of someone's voice for the AI to replicate it and duplicate someone's voice. AI is also being used to create deep fake websites, social media accounts, and other online content that's designed to deceive or mislead people. So like any technology, people can use it for good or they can use it for something else. And this could include generating fake reviews for a product, manipulating online ratings to mislead customers about products and so forth. So AI can be used to fake phone numbers, email addresses. It can create fake documents, such as contracts or invoices that are designed to mislead people. Also, the last area is crooks can hack your online assistant. So if you're using Alexa or some of these types of automated, quote, assistants for putting in your personal calendar and other information that may be specific to you, that can be hacked. And it wouldn't take much for someone to basically get a private chat going with our assistant from one bot to another without us realizing it. So what can we do about it? I would give you the same advice that Max Sheridan, who's a VPN and identity theft protection expert, he recommended 4 things. First of all, be wary of giving any AI bot, these chat bots in particular, any of your sensitive details, your name, address, phone number, anything that can be used that's normally used, especially in the financial world. Secondly, consider investing in some kind of identity theft protection. This is Mr. Sheridan's recommendation. His view is to install some kind of malware software yesterday on all of your devices.
Yeah.
And lastly, he recommends the use of VPNs, which is a virtual private network. It's an encrypted link that just reduces the degree to which hackers and crooks can get to your information streams. So those are the recommendations.
Well, thank you for those recommendations. That's good to know. Recently, a safety code has been written on artificial intelligence, and I heard on the news that several companies have signed on, and they were Amazon, Google, Anthropic, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Inflection. And there'll probably be others signing on to that safety code. Okay, are there any other comments that you would like to share tonight?
Yes, I have one other primary comment, and it regards AI in the news, especially in the science or technology-oriented media. I really encourage everyone to read carefully and look for what I call wiggle room words, such as scientists believe, or they predict, or they anticipate something to occur, or there's a great deal of that type of talk that's, if you're not looking for it, you'll get the impression that what they're saying is able to be done right now. It's not a future thing, or it's part of their product rather than part of what they hope their product will do. The media is full of lots of predictions and promises that are really based solely on the speaker or the writer's beliefs or worldview and not on reality. So really be careful in what you read to distinguish fact from an opinion and fact from fiction. And I welcome anyone's questions that they may have. and would ask them to contact you, Alan, or Ross, or anyone from the Creation Science Association in the Twin Cities to pass on their questions to me. And lastly, I'd like to thank the Twin Cities Creation Science Association for inviting me to speak on this topic. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome very much. I'm going to end this podcast with Bible verses. Some humans think that we are gods. The truth is we were created by God. Moses wrote in Exodus 20:11, "For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them." We're part of all that is in them. Our Creator, the Lord Jesus Christ, is all-knowing, all-powerful, and worthy to be praised. The prophet Isaiah said in Isaiah 45, verse 18, "Thus says the Lord, who created the heavens. He is the God who formed the earth and made it. He established it and did not create it a waste place, but formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there's none else." And then the Apostle Paul said in Romans 1:20, "For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse." Humans wanting to be their own gods are really following a dynamic road. The United Nations is now openly plotting with big business and big government to exploit artificial intelligence in huge databases to further the agenda of the United Nations of their ideology to harness what the United Nations considers to be the global good. But many Bible teachers are calling this the mark of the beast technology, where in the future, the Antichrist will be able to do what he couldn't have done 20 years ago using artificial intelligence. I got one more verse that comes out of the prophet Daniel. "But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words, seal up the book until the end of the time, when many will go back and forth and knowledge will increase." And we've seen tonight from what you've shared with us, that AI is helping to bring all this data that's being collected around the world and increasing our knowledge base. So God bless you, Dr. Collins, and thank you very much for being our guest.
Thank you, Alan.